Hey there, welcome to New to Hill Country, filmed in fabulous New Braunfels at SPG, Texas. If you are just listening to the audio, you won't realize why I'm talking about the things I'm talking about exactly, but for the people who are coming with us via video, I'm just introducing the gym because this is one of our sponsors for the gym. We're SPG Texas, where you can get in on super high quality jiu-jitsu, yoga, meditation, and kids programs. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a walkthrough. We've got a wonderful retail section here, and we've got our main gym space, which has about 1,200 square feet, and we've got a second space with about 700 to 800 square feet, I think. Feel free to check in on us. We can get to our website, www.spgtexas.com. Our other sponsor is LMNT Electrolyte Mix, created by Elemental Labs in conjunction with Rob Wolf. And we are, as of the recording of this right now, the exclusive retailer of this product here at our gym. So if you want to come in and see what this is all about, whether you join our gym or not, this is an amazing product that really helps people get their hydration needs met. And now I'll let you get back to the show, okay? So enjoy the episode. All right, so welcome to New to Hill Country. We're here today with Rodney, and Rodney's going to talk to us, Rodney of NB Journal. Rodney's going to talk to us about, life here in Hill Country, how he came here. I just, full disclosure, forgot Rodney's last name in the last couple seconds.
It's all good. I go by Rodney Reels. That's my pen name.
Rodney Reels, okay. So, Rodney, are you from this area originally, or did you move here? Just tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from.
Sure. I'm not from here. Like, I think probably most of New Braunfels nowadays. We just found out not too long ago that the town has passed 90,000 in population. I started thinking about it. I think it might be the majority of people who live here now aren't from here, which is probably, I'm sure certain people feel a certain way about that. But like most people, I'm not from here. I'm born and raised in San Antonio.
Okay.
My family moved to Bernie when I was in high school.
Okay.
So graduated from Bernie High School in class of 2000. And in 2001, I joined the Navy, got out of the Navy in 2007, went to Texas State, and that's kind of when I came back to the Hill Country. I went to college there at Texas State, majored in journalism and geography, moved to New Braunfels in 2011.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I got started here and kind of started settling in. I've been here since then. And, it's just being in the Navy, traveling all around the world, friends and family, they constantly ask me, why do you live in New Braunfels? And I'm like, I don't know. You just have to be here. If you don't get it, I'm sorry.
Sure.
But
sure.
I could most of us could literally live anywhere we wanted to. I choose to live here because it's amazing.
Sure.
I love it. So.
Sure. No, yeah, I totally connect with that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are always wondering why we chose New Braunfels in particular, because it was a little, we really were at a point when we were moving from Korea back to the U.S. where it was just like, throwing darts at a U.S. map almost, like, and that's kind of how it felt being I'd been gone so long, like 15 years, and so nothing felt like home, even my hometown, so there was nothing to say, like, even if I went to my hometown, it still feels like a foreign country when you've been gone that long. It's absolutely a foreign country for Kayla. Rob just was visiting some family in this area, Rob Wolf, and then he's just like, I remember him kind of emailing me and being like, you gotta see these rivers, you just gotta see it to believe it. I've never seen, these it's like emerald green rivers. I've never seen that for like inland, I've only ever seen that in like the Caribbean. Like, it's like, this is the place, this is the place. So,
yeah, there's not much you can't do here. There's not much we don't have.
Sure. Sure.
That's the way I look at it.
You said you were kind of going different places in the Navy. Like, where did you go in particular? Any places that really made a big impression on you?
100%. I mean, it made me who I am. Stationed in Japan for 3 years.
Awesome.
That was life-changing experience. I was a kid from Texas, grew up in kind of a bubble. especially being in a small town during my high school years, like real bubble kid, you know, bubble boy. And joining the Navy, that was an experience going through, you know, boot camp and all that stuff.
Sure.
But then when I got to Japan, it was just the most eye-opening experience. I was, you know, exposed to a lot of Eastern thought, and I was super drawn to it. It was, you know, very impactful in my life. And it was cool because, you know, coming from the West, growing up as a Catholic or whatever, like it wasn't something that was part of my identity. But whenever I was exposed to the Eastern philosophies and religions and thoughts and all that stuff, it kind of started making the Western stuff that I was exposed to since a kid, it made that make more sense.
That makes sense.
You know, and it was like I wasn't necessarily drawn back to it. I was very drawn to you know the Buddhism and the Hinduism stuff that I was exposed to. But yeah, it made a huge impact in my life, and I was able to travel, you know, throughout Asia and Oceania, Australia multiple times, Hong Kong multiple times, Korea, South Korea multiple times, mostly in the winter, which was super cold and snowy. But yeah, it was beautiful, man. Love it over there. I would, that's one of the few places I could say I would live again. I could live in Japan easily.
Oh, interesting. So I lived in Japan for 2 years, actually. I was teaching English there. Where were you stationed at? Out of curiosity.
I was stationed in Yokosuka, which is near Yokohama.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I used to listen to AFN radio because I used to. It was a weird job, a second job I had there, where I'd drive out to these small little centers where they had these kids programs and things like that, and so I was always driving through these rice fields and stuff like that, and I had this little crappy car that they gave me to drive, and it had a tape player and it had a radio, and it was at a time. So that was. I want to say, and I want to ask, I'm curious about when you were there because we might have crossed paths, but 2004, 2005 would have been like the time period, I think, when I was there. And by that time, you know, cassette players were already dead. So I had some cassettes sent to me back from the States, but otherwise it was just AFN like every day. So it was always, how do you get cassettes? Like I would always hear them talking about all this stuff.
I'm not even sure I ever even listened to it. We would catch the TV station, whatever the military TV station was. But I mean, I didn't have a car. You were living a way better life. But yeah, I was there from like 03 to 06. So
okay, so we might
the same time frame. Yep.
Probably walked right by each other in Tokyo or something. It's very possible. Yeah, I've been down to Yokohama at least once, I want to say, in that area. I really liked it down there. I was probably flew into Narita. Yeah, so I lived in Narita actually.
Okay, cool.
And kind of.
Yeah, that is like.
That was my base.
The airport is very intimidating.
Yeah, sure. And I was there for 2 years. That was a fun little part of my life.
Did you pick up the language there a little
bit? I did for a little while. You know, I got really into it. I had my books. I was learning the hiragana and the katakana.
Okay.
Learning some conversational words. And, you know, I regret not sticking with it, but obviously I would never use it.
Right.
Sure.
Living where I live now. But, you know, it's just such a fond memory and just all that stuff. You know, I'll dabble in it on occasion, go look through a book or watch like an anime without, you know, with no dubbing, just to watch subtitles just so I can hear it again.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's the hiragana and the katakana really, that falls from memory pretty fast, I've found. Like when I go back and look at it, I was reading it, I was writing even in it, and like I used to text message people in it, and then I was looking back at it because my kids were asking about it, and it's going on. I mean, I had like 13 years in Korea where the Korean language kind of subverted all the Japanese that I learned, ate it all up in a lot of ways. So there's that. When I go back to Japan, it takes about 2 or 3 days, and like the muscles sort of kick back in, and they come back alive and everything. So, but it's like, your brain is really, I think, wired for it's just wired for efficiency.
Sure.
So like as something falls away, language isn't really that natural to the brain. As it falls away in terms of usage, the brain's like, whatever, Like
Yeah,
we're
makes
just
sense.
compartmentalize
Well, that makes me feel
that.
better. I just feel like
Yeah.
a crappy American who doesn't,
Not really.
doesn't know multiple languages.
Not really, no. I mean,
Unlike Europeans,
I know,
yeah.
yeah.
They speak like 5 languages.
Exactly.
and yeah, again, I don't want to go off on that too long, but yeah, Europeans are often like, oh, we speak like 3 languages. Like, yeah, well,
They're all very similar too.
you're similar, and you're 20 minutes from France.
Exactly.
Like I'm in Germany, and I'm 20 minutes from France.
Right.
Like that's important in terms of your brain
Right.
and context.
Yeah,
your brain.
I speak Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma.
Right, exactly,
California, too.
exactly, right. So yeah, no, that's it exactly. I think, like, yeah, it definitely makes being like trilingual easier when there's immediate context for your brain to retain it. Like,
Yeah, we go down to South Padre, they go to like Ibiza, Spain. So
right.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
So, what is it that you love in particular about New Braunfels? Like, is there anything that we can really?
Sure. I mean, it's a loaded question, obviously, but just coming to New Braunfels, the first thing I think people recognize is the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Coming here as a kid, going to Wurstfest when I was in college, things of that nature, you get exposed to the German heritage, and I think that for me, no matter what the identity is of a place, I just find it attractive when people are proud of that identity, being a Texan, a native Texan. Like, we're very proud people, and then going to other countries and seeing people and watching them be proud of where they're from, I think is just awesome. And so to live in a place where people are proud of it and they like to, because when I was in Bernie High School, Bernie, again, when you're a kid, I'm sure a lot of New Braunfels high schoolers feel the same way about their town. They're like, I can't wait to get out of here.
Sure.
But the vast majority of people here, they're super proud of it, and they love living here, and they wear it on their shirt, and they put stickers on their car, and they express it. And so I was super attracted to that. And then of course just all the activities. I mean, outdoors, being near the water. Again, if the rivers weren't here in New Braunfels, I don't think I'd be here.
Sure.
If there wasn't the quick access to San Antonio and Austin, probably wouldn't be here. So those things are probably the top of the list for me.
That makes total sense.
All the same reasons that we.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I really like that point though about the Texas pride and kind of the regional pride, and I think maybe if you were from here, it might be easy to take that for granted. I'm from Iowa.
Okay.
I don't think there are too many shirts you're gonna see in Iowa with the Iowa State like on the shirt. You don't really see someone like I don't know what the Iowa flag looks like.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I know exactly what the Texas flag looks like because I see it all the time. Like and that it's cool. Like it's like that people take pride in where they're at and stuff. Like I'm not saying Iowans won't have their own. They'll have their own kind of pride.
Sure.
And I'm right on. I come from Dubuque, which is right on the border with Wisconsin and Illinois. So there's some definitely. There's almost never a comment about people from Illinois, but people from Wisconsin. There's some little things. My dad will throw out a thing. Oh, cheddar heads and all this kind of stuff. Like there's some animosity there, but it's animosity and not necessarily pride. There's a difference there. Like I don't hear Texans. I do actually maybe hear Texans get down in California like more than it's probably more than I don't know how fair or unfair it is, but it's
unfair.
There's a little bit of animosity towards California, but they're also far away, and I think that generally aligns with people's politics as much as their regionalism. But
I think they're just an easy target. It's an outsider, so whether it's New York or California, whoever is the outsider of the moment is going to get it. But yeah,
just Iowa, like I can't hardly even imagine someone wanting to really like go to bat for it. Almost
I feel like Iowans should have more pride.
They should.
It's
They should.
It's like Middle America, like super agricultural, like powerhouse. I feel like the Hawkeyes. I'm sure there's
sure.
Like,
there's that.
I think being from Texas, we just. I don't know. I see it, and I'm like, why wouldn't you be proud of it? But at the same time, we're awesome. It's awesome here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there's. I don't know. Maybe the cold winters just take it out of people.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of pride up in those regions in
That's
that
true.
way. And I mean, but then I don't know. We were just in Montana, and Montanans are like Texans. It's like all of our like Montanan friends are like, we live in the best place on earth, and you're like. I don't know, it was really cold in October. It was cold in October. Like it was snowing, and it was like, Oh my God, I don't even want to see what it looks like in January and February. Because everybody's like, this is not, people wearing shorts,
Oh, wow.
snow on the ground, people
Yeah,
wearing
not for me.
shorts. Like, I was like, good thing we're going to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And then they like Texas though. Montanans like Texas. So like the Montanans are all like, you mean Texas? That's awesome. You know, like Texas
That's
is
cool.
awesome.
I think
you
the
know,
feeling is
so-
mutual. I think,
Sure.
you know, I can, you know, if I look around the country and I identify it, it typically is the other places that exude that pride.
Mhm.
And of course, I have similar values probably, but I think of Maine. People from Maine, Mainers are really proud people.
Mhm.
So I think that would be a cool place to
interesting.
go.
Yeah, sure.
I've never been to Montana. I'd love to go to Montana. But yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'm getting in a tangent, but just something you said about being abroad and how that made you understand Western values better.
Yeah.
And just that really triggered something in me that just I grew up in Iowa and like just kind of exactly what you described it. Bernie, I was in Dubuque, Iowa. I couldn't wait to get out,
Right.
sort of. And after being abroad, though, I appreciated certain things about America that I would have never appreciated while I was there. Like, I love the cowboy stuff now in a way that I liked it. I would watch like cowboy movies or something, but I didn't really appreciate how much that was a deep part of American culture. And I saw that, realizing that when you go to other cultures, they're always like, oh, this is traditional Korea, this is traditional Japan, and you're like, what's traditional America? And it's like cowboys and like, I don't know, revolutionary heroes or something. Like there are actual traditional components to American culture. We just tend not to think of it that way.
Sure.
So it's like the cowboy is the cultural equivalent of the samurai, for example.
Right.
Like, and it is kind of cool that I'm in a place, and I think Montana's got that feel too, where some of that cowboy ethos still kind of lives on to some degree. Like, and you will see a guy in a cowboy hat and he has boots on and everything. And I like it. I think it's cool. Like, I still feel like a bit of a tourist to it, in all honesty, but like I dig it in some way.
That's
But
awesome.
sorry, those are my tangents. But
That's good.
so you run NB Journal.
I do.
Let's switch gears and talk about that a little bit. Like, so
Cool.
tell us about NB Journal. Like,
Yeah, so I mean, NB Journal is it's a crazy thing for me. You know, it's something I've been doing now for about 3 years. It'll be 3 years in June or July coming up. And it's just, man, it's everything for me. It's my passion, it's my life, it's my business, it's my baby, it's my wife, it's my kids, it's everything, you know. And it's kind of evolved into this thing that is what I wanted it to become. But I mean, it's still kind of like, I still feel just like the guy with the backpack and doing it all by myself, which for the longest time I have been.
okay.
And you know, over the past few months and really coming into 2020 before the pandemic happened, you know, things were really starting to accelerate and the business was growing, and took a little bit of a pause, kind of like you guys have experienced, like we all have. But yeah, it's just it started out as me just wanting to give back to my community. Went to school for journalism and geography. I came to New Braunfels for a real estate job, so I was able to kind of commercial real estate, which was definitely allowed me to kind of use my geography stuff that I learned. I didn't graduate, which is one of my proudest things in my life. That I don't have a degree. I love Texas State, and you know, part of me wishes I would have gotten the degree just to complete it. But journalism has always been like my passion ever since I was a little kid, and it just took me a very long time to get there and figure that out and find a way to be able to do it. And with the internet and the social media at our fingertips nowadays, it's just something that I realized, look, I don't need to go get a job as a reporter, or I don't need to try and figure, like, I can just do something, just execute on it, stop talking about it, and just do it and see what happens. And that's how it started. I look back at some of my first posts on the NB Journal and I laugh, like they're just so bad. And there's, you know, I was still doing real estate when I was doing it, when I started, so there's pictures of like backyards of houses that I was trying to lease out, you know what I mean? And it was like, hey, check out this cool backyard. That was a post on the New Braunfels Journal. Because it was just a fun thing that I was trying to do and express myself. And as time went on, it just kind of started evolving and people started paying attention to it, and I was just trying to always provide as much value to the community as possible. That's the motto, really, is just to promote local business and to bring value to the community, let people know what's going on, you know, within the business community, a little bit of entertainment, some hot topics in the news world, you know, with whatever's going on. But we try to just stick to, you know, what's trending, and to present it in a way that you're not going to see anywhere else in New Braunfels. Present it in a way with, you know, digital media is the medium. It's not a newspaper, it's not a magazine, it's not a radio station, it's not a TV station. You know, it's digital based, it's web based. There is no print, and that's kind of the way I envision keeping it.
I'm sure, I understand.
But yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now.
Print is kind of dead, yeah. Like, I don't know.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, we can have this conversation. Yeah, it is. I mean, hey, there's a reason. I mean, there's people that are going to read it. There's people that are. For me, growing up or coming up in the newspaper business, like, I'm still very nostalgic about it, and I love the newspaper business, and especially the newspaper at Texas State. You know, I still think that needs to be a place where students can learn and build their, you know, portfolio and stuff like that, and kind of cut their teeth, because it is important, and journalism is very, very important, especially in our climate today with the politics and all this stuff going on with the media, you know, swaying people back and forth and polarizing us. I think that, you know, real good investigative journalism is always going to be important to our country. But that's just something that it's just so hard, and it's very disheartening for me. It takes out so much energy, and it's just I respect people that do that day in and day out, because you get beat up, and you know, it is very rewarding, but it's like so draining and exhausting. And you know, so anyway, I just try to focus on the positive stuff, the fun stuff. I know it's kind of a cop out, but really promoting local businesses is what the ME Journal is all about. And you know, being able to connect those people with the audience, and honestly, like, to show local businesses how digital media can impact you. And you know, we see the print, and we see the TV and the radio, and that's where people are still spending their money. You know, whether you're advertising with the New Braunfels Journal or not, like, you don't need to be advertising with some of these other places where the attention is just diminishing day by day. You know, you can utilize your phone, and you can utilize the internet to put your business out there directly to the people that are going to want to find you. And so that's really what I'm most passionate about.
I feel like in print at this point, like, just thinking as a business owner myself, when I think of the idea of putting an advertisement in particular in print, my first thought is always kind of, and who is reading this? Who is more predisposed to reading print? And I generally think much older citizens who are, in our case, not really a key demographic for us. I mean, we could take people actually fairly advanced in age, like, and because we train so safe, it's not that big of a deal. But even there, it's still like we tend towards a younger crowd overall, and just young parents, things like that. Like, and it's just kind of So the idea, I'm always a little reticent of like the print media more and more, because I just feel like, and also I don't know. I think there's, I don't want to get on a soapbox or anything, but like, there's also maybe good ecological reasons to move away from, you know, I mean, we kind of use newspapers as like this like trash, you know, like, I'm gonna paint this wall, so I'll put down the old newspaper and stuff like that. But it's also kind of like, hey, do we really need to be kind of running through all this paper? Like, is it worth the time? I mean, I don't know, that's good. There's some, I don't know, I don't hardly know anybody that reads a paper newspaper anymore. It was such a common thing for our parents' generation. My dad came home, we had dinner, he opened up the paper, and he read the paper and stuff. But I don't know anyone who does that. But.
And even with the online avenues, like, the paper still has a website, you know. And for me, it's number one, like, nobody's reading it. Some people are, but let's just say nobody's
small
reading
percentage,
it. It's a waste of paper, which I'm a believer in. I mean, maybe it sounds, you know, too ecological for people, but whatever. Those are my beliefs. But like, even just the way the news is presented, the newspaper, for me, you know, especially coming up in, you know, in a journalism, with the journalism education, with a newspaper job, student-run newspaper, where we were able to, you know, execute the stuff that we were learning. you know, it's very sterile, and it's very, you know, regulated by editors and
Sure.
and publishers and things of that nature, and I understand it.
Mhm.
And to a certain extent, like, the journalistic integrity has to remain there.
Mhm.
But as far as like capturing people's attention and delivering the news,
Mhm.
if your job is to provide information to the community, and you are gonna stick to your romantic idea about how it needs to be presented,
Mhm.
then I don't agree with that.
Sure.
You know, so no matter whether they print it on paper or they serve it online, you know, the newspaper still has the option to do that, and they do it. Our newspaper does it. Every newspaper does it.
Mhm.
But for me, it's also about, you know, waking up to the climate of people. What are people doing? You
Mhm.
know, and it's like you got to adjust.
Sure.
You can't deliver the news in the same way that you did
Mhm.
20 years ago.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's not about clickbait. It's not about, you know, and you see that there's a lot of, you know, newspapers that are probably doing it the wrong way.
Sure.
They're capturing the attention, but they're also still misleading people.
Mhm.
You know, they're getting you to click on their website
Mhm.
just so that they can sell that ad to that advertiser.
Sure.
Which, oh, by the way, nobody's reading those ads either.
Sure. Yeah.
Nobody's looking
Sure.
at your ad on a website, which is why, you know,
Mhm.
again, not to preach, but the New Braunfels Journal, I don't sell ads on my
Mhm.
website.
Mhm.
You know, we do run ads on our website for some of our clients that do other things with us,
Mhm.
but that's just an addition,
Sure.
just so it's there. It's
Mhm.
not something that we sell to people because there's no value.
Sure.
You know, whether the media company can tell you that people are clicking on it or not, whatever.
Mhm.
You know, I believe that people's brains are wired not to even see those ads.
Makes
You know,
sense.
you can look at a web page and I can ask you to recall, hey, did you see an ad on that page? Can you tell me what it was? You know, you're not going to tell me. You're not going to be able to tell me most of the
Sure.
time. So anyway, it's just, there's a lot of things that I think about that I think, you know, not very many people see behind the scenes. And so one of the things I deal with the MB Journal is that when I present things or people say I'm being polarizing or I'm trying to stir the pot or whatever, you know, they can say those things, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know what's inside my brain, and part of that's my fault for not putting that out there.
Mhm.
But I prefer to stay a little more behind the scenes.
I see.
You know, I put myself out there on occasion, but you know, I think that you know, I'm just one dude with a backpack, and I've built this incredible platform that reaches hundreds of thousands of people every single month.
That's awesome.
And people can, you know, they can not like it, they don't have to agree with it, but my counter to that is just like, well, what's the problem? You know, if I can do it, then anybody can do it, first
Sure.
of all.
Sure.
And if one guy with a backpack is catching the same or more, sometimes more attention than a newspaper staff
Mhm.
with a building and a printing press
Sure.
and multiple people on salary with
Mhm.
benefits, a sales team, like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just like, well, what, don't hate me.
Yeah,
But
sure,
hey,
sure,
you know,
sure.
it's part of the game too. You put yourself out there, you're gonna get the
I think
trolls.
I really like that one man with a backpack and just.
Yeah.
I think it is really cool how there's just been I think it's been a sort of dropping of the firewall in a lot of ways in business, like, and you and I were talking about this on the phone, like kind of every business sort of being their own media company in a lot of ways. And I think it's great. Like, I mean, a lot of people bemoan the growth of the internet, and I don't know, I think they believe that there was some period where everyone was sitting around having deep, meaningful conversations together, but I don't think that era ever existed exactly. I think, generally speaking, the internet has been good and has expanded people's ability to connect with other people, and I think this is a prime example of it. Like, I mean, you went and did that on your own, whereas if you, and I see a lot of talent in all of that and a lot of ability. If you'd gone to a traditional route, you'd been waiting in line to use those skills for years, to the point that they probably atrophy by the time they said, all right, Rodney, now you're up. We're putting you as like editor-in-chief or something. It's like those skills would have gone unused for so many years that they probably would have atrophied.
They never would have existed.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to express myself and
Right.
test it out.
Right.
Because what you see today
Mhm.
is a result of just some random idea I had that ended up
Mhm.
working out, and so I
Mhm.
kept doing that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so yeah,
awesome.
I can't say much more than what you're saying. I totally agree with everything that just came out of your mouth.
No, I just really, I like that. I don't know, I'm very into just kind of that growth mindset.
Right.
It's more about execution than anything else. I just really believe in all of that. Like,
It's easy to be negative about it all,
sure.
but I just don't have time for that. You know,
Sure,
and I'm
sure.
just like, whatever. There's negative stuff
Mhm.
everywhere. Everything has a negative
Sure,
side
sure.
to it. Let's not focus on that. let's focus on the ability that we have to change the world.
Sure.
You know, and
I
if
like
you
it.
want to just be negative, well then you're stuck, and I can't spend much time thinking about that with you.
Sure.
You know, I'm
Always.
more interested in saying, well, what can we do? We can do so much more than we can complain about.
That's awesome. I
So-
love it. How do I, for like, there will be some people listening to this that they don't know NB Journal. How do
Sure.
I engage NB Journal? Like, what's my...
Thanks for asking. Yeah, MB Journal is available to read, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
It's on Facebook,
Okay.
New Braunfels Journal. It's on
Okay.
Instagram, NB Journal.
Okay.
NBjournal.com is our
Okay.
website. Those are our 3 primary platforms. We do a little bit on Twitter.
Okay.
But really, you know, if you're on the internet and you're on social media, like, hopefully you don't have to find us. Hopefully we'll find you. We'll keep producing content
Sure.
that your friends and family members are sharing, and it's going to show up in your feed. But yeah, we definitely appreciate all the support, and you know, if you can throw us a follow and follow our page if you like what we're doing, that means everything to us. You know, it's the numbers grow every day, and I can't believe it. And you know, there's going to be some ways coming up that we're going to be able to say thank you to our community, but I can't wait to really to grow this business into something that is going to be able to give back to the community. And I think people, what they see now, they don't even know what to expect, and it's a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Awesome.
So,
That's exciting.
but yeah, those are the best places to find me in the journal.
Yeah, I kind of one more question.
Yeah,
so like,
absolutely.
I'm just kind of curious, like, we were talking about this before the podcast, just kind of, sometimes when you run in a business, you have certain constraints and things like that. And obviously money becomes a constraint on some level. Money in the sense that like even just running the gym, there's things where it's like, okay, I want to make a sign. Well, I'd love to have a 400-foot tall gorilla up there or something, you know, that like everyone could see in the drive-thru. That'd be awesome, you know. And not just because it would get like, not just because it would just bring people. I just think, you
That's
know,
your
I would
vision.
love to do something like super cool like
Yeah.
that, you know. Just like there's so many like cool ideas, and then you're like, oh, but budget. Like, how do I budget that? If you had no budgetary concerns, what would change about NB Journal? Like, what kinds of directions would you go in? Like, I'm just kind of curious. Like,
No, I love this question. It's a great question. I'm sad that I didn't come up with this question, but I can't. But you know, obviously, you came up with it, so you deserve all the credit for it. But you know, you talked about money being a constraint, and you know, it's not probably talked about very much, especially nowadays. People don't like to talk about the difficulty. They like to flex on how well they're doing.
Sure.
But you know, money is a huge constraint, and especially for me and my business, it's always been a huge constraint because there's, you know, I don't charge my readers for anything. Everything you see and get with the MB Journal, it's free.
Sure.
And that's all I ever want to do. I only want to provide this for free. I don't want people to have to pay for it. I don't think people should have to pay for information. You know, I understand that, you know, quality journalism and things of that nature cost money to produce, and maybe there comes a time when certain publications have to charge for that, but I'll never charge for that. That's not the way I want to build this business. So, you know, I'm very dependent on advertisers and people who want to co-market with the MB Journal. So that's the long way of me getting at the point of your question, which is, you know, I think that I love the MB Journal so much, and I've been doing it pretty much for, you know, not making a whole bunch of money. I'm not rich. I'm just keeping it going, you know. But it's awesome, and it feels great. I get to wake up every day and do what I love to do, and not everybody gets to say that. So if that means that there's a financial price that I have to pay, I'll pay it. You know, for how long, who knows? Hopefully not forever, but you know, I can envision, you know, a time when the MB Journal will be financially successful, and there will be opportunities for me to do maybe other things, or you know, a lot of business owners have told me, like, you know, you build a business, you gotta have an exit strategy. You know, if you're not building your exit strategy, then what are you doing? You know. But for me, if money wasn't an issue, I think to myself all the time, like, what would I be doing? Because I want to build this business up to where I can just go back to being the guy with the backpack.
I see.
You know, running around with my camera, just doing whatever fun, cool story that I want to put out there. You know, that's probably what I'd want to be doing.
I understand.
You know, I really just love being a content creator. I'm a photographer and a videographer by trade. Those are my skills. A lot of the other skills I've just developed over time. But yeah, that's probably what I'd be doing. I think that if somebody wanted to buy the MB Journal, I'd just be like, all right, well, just give me a job. Just give me a job as the, you know, whatever lowest job on the totem pole is. Just because that's where I like it. But yeah, I think that's probably what I would be doing if money wasn't an option.
Cool.
Just doing the basic stuff.
Makes sense to me.
How do you find stories, and where do you get inspiration?
Yeah. That's a good question. And unfortunately, it goes back to the financial constraints sometimes. There's so much stuff that I don't get to cover. People send me stories all the time, you know, whether it's business owners sending me their stories or people from the community. Most of the stuff I find though, I have to figure it out. You know, I have to decide, okay, is this going to be worth my time? You know, because it's not, if it's a paid deal, okay, well then we can figure that out. If it's an unpaid deal, well then I have to figure out, do I have the time and resources to dedicate to it? If it's going to provide my community with a lot of value, and it's going to provide my platform with a lot of attention, then that's a fair trade for me. You know what I mean? So, you know, but really, you know, I need to do a better job of asking for the feedback, for the stories, for the input from the community. But a lot of people will send me stuff. You know, if you have a story, DM me, send me. I mean, I have a small team that is helping me now, but typically if you send a message to Instagram, message to Facebook, call the number or the email that's attached to it, it's coming straight to me. So I definitely read all of that stuff, and I mean I try to read every comment on every post. Sometimes it gets hard, but yeah, that's how I mostly. And then honestly, it's frustrating sometimes because there's businesses that are doing cool things, and they just go do them, and I never know about them until after the fact, and I'm like, dang it, I wish I would have known about that. You know, but it's partially, again, it's because I'm not making it easy enough for them to contact me too. But you know, I just reached out to a business yesterday that's opening up today, and they announced it on their page, and it got some interaction, and I'm sure a lot of people found out about it. But you know, I messaged them. I was like, hey, you know, like next time maybe, you know, shoot me a message or let me know ahead of time. And their response was, why? Question mark. And I was like, oh, well, I guess no reason. I guess, you know, I was trying to help. You know, promote.
Weird. I don't know. Like that's really bizarre.
Like, I don't know. And this is a business that I've worked with multiple times before. So I just, you know, and who knows who was on the other end of that conversation on Instagram or whatever. But you know, I think that there's never any harm in asking. You know what I mean? All I can say is no. It's same with anybody. You know, there's a lot of businesses in town that have a lot of attention that would love to, you know, help promote other business owners. So it's not that the MB Journal is like the only place to go. I tell people all the time, like, don't rely solely on the MB Journal because I'm not covering everything. There's a lot of stuff I miss, unfortunately. But as our team gets bigger and bigger, you know, hopefully we'll be able to identify those stories, and I'll be able to send people out, you know, into the community to find those stories. But yeah, email, send direct messages on Facebook and Instagram if you've got them.
Cool.
How did you know about MB Journal?
Yeah, how did y'all find it?
I just saw it on Instagram, I think, and then I think it just popped up in my feed, and I don't know. I don't really remember. And I also probably did a big search of media in the area at a certain point, and then that popped up. It must have come up real. I remember learning about it a long time ago, like probably even before we came to the area, because we were scoping things out and trying to figure every angle out. So yeah, I think it was a good long while ago, but yeah, it came up real top of the list. Basically.
Yeah, hopefully if you're searching New Braunfels on any social media platform, it's going to pop up. On the internet, on the search, Google search, it's, you know, depending on what you're searching for, it might be on the top or not. But yeah, that's really cool that you guys found out about it. I mean, I'm always amazed at I go out in town now and people, hey, you're the MB Journal guy, right? I'm just like, oh,
that's awesome.
That's me.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of weird, but it is awesome, you know. And I think, like, back to a point you made earlier, you know, I encourage every business to just watch what I'm doing. It's working. You know, people are interested in it. They're engaged with it. The amount of engagement that I get is comparable to social media accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers. You know, so it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Like, those are vanity metrics. Those are just numbers, because you're not going to reach all those people. We know that the algorithms are set up against us. So it's all about, well, what's the content? What are you putting out there? Do people care about it? Are they going to share it with their friends? Are they going to talk about it? It's word of mouth. It's modern day word of mouth. So I just encourage every business, every human, really, anybody. Like, I was talking to a bartender the other day, and I'm going off on a tangent, so stop me. But you know, I think of the internet and social media as a tool for everybody. If I was a server or a bartender in this town, I would be doing the same exact thing. I would be building up my version of the MB Journal. I'd be trying to be the bartender, you know, expert of New Braunfels, and I would just be putting everything out there that I could, as much free information, because that's how people are going to learn about me. And then they're going to come to my bar they're going to sit at my table, or they're going to sit at my bar stool, and they're going to ask for my drinks, and that's going to help me make more money. And then I become more valuable.
Right.
Then if I need, if I want to ask my owner for a raise, or hey, I'm bringing all these people into your business, maybe you can give me something. Like, it's a way to build a business, and especially nowadays with the way this pandemic has cost a lot of jobs. And I'm reading numbers, again, who knows what these numbers are, but you read numbers that 40% of these jobs are never coming back, which is worse than it was in 2009, 10, 11 during the recession. People are going to have to start getting creative, and people are getting creative, and they're going to have to start learning that, hey, you are a brand, you are a personal brand, you are a business, no matter what you want to do. I don't care if you want to sell clothes out of your closet, or go to TJ Maxx and flip them, or whatever the case may be, create art or products and sell them, whatever it is, even if it's just being good at talking about something you're passionate about, you can turn that into something.
Sure.
And I think that that's my biggest push towards every business, and people that are, especially people that are unhappy, and complaining. It's like, you don't have any excuse. I mean, this right here, this is the remote control to the world.
Sure.
And one of my mentors always says, like, this device is more powerful than the computer that Ronald Reagan had to run the free world. And it's true, so.
For the listeners, Rodney's holding the phone.
There's the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's
got listeners, not just watchers.
Sure, yeah. It's all good.
Which, by the way, I just want to give you guys super kudos for doing what you guys are doing. There's not a lot of businesses in town that really execute on this type of advice. And so I know it takes time. You guys got to put this stuff together, but I love it. I love that it's called New to Hill Country. I think that's great. It's awesome for somebody who's been here a little while, because we all deal with the locals, or the natives, quote unquote, that they want to keep their town the way it is. And I think that putting this kind of stuff out there, especially from a new person's perspective, will help show that nobody's coming to New Braunfels to change the culture.
Sure.
People are coming here because of the culture, and they want to know about the culture. It's our job to share that culture with them, and that's one of the biggest things I want to do with the NB Journal moving forward is produce more educational content, more historical content about the culture of New Braunfels, because it's not just German. It's very heavily Hispanic and Native American and Mexican, and those are cultures that are underrepresented in our community, and they're they were here way longer than the German culture. But it's all great, it's all beautiful, and it all needs to be celebrated, and it doesn't have to be either or whatever.
Totally.
I think you guys can attest to it, just being worldly yourselves, like culture is everything. Even the current culture that we live in, you see the hip hop culture that is popular across the country, like that's cool, that's awesome, people adopt it. And so, it's our job to put it out there, and I think you guys are doing a great job with this. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Great having
Absolutely.
Wait. Thanks for coming on the show,
Absolutely.
Rodney. It's been
Feels good to shake somebody's hand.
Sure, yeah. Let's
Shake your hand.
just so people don't have to comb through things again. Can you just repeat how they can get access to NB Journal? Because sometimes people they don't want to scan back through the podcast to find it.
Yes, on Facebook, just search New Braunfels Journal. If you search anywhere on Facebook or Instagram, just type in New Braunfels Journal, it'll pop up. And then thenbjournal.com, which is an unfortunate domain name that I chose. I wish I chose newbraunfelsjournal.com, but it's thenbjournal.com. But honestly, social media is the best place to find us. That's where we live. That's where all the content goes. The website is secondary, to be honest with you. So Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Great. Yeah.